The calls for change were loud across the country following the murder of George Floyd, many calling for police accountability and transparency. In 2022, we brought together police chiefs for a candid conversation about policing and use of force as part of a WCCO special. Jennifer Mayerle sat down with the departments recently to talk about the state of policing today, 5 years after the events of 2020. And this time, Minneapolis agreed to participate.
Coming in then as the chief in 2022, 2 years later, it's always been very obvious to me just how much pain and hurt and trauma and open wounds there are, and they're still here. People want to move forward, which is what we're trying to do together.
It affected every city, every police department. So how are we trying to rebuild those relationships, that trust, even though we weren't involved in that? And I think we've made great strides, but we still have a lot of work to do.
We've come together, I think, had more of a magnetic effect as opposed to a dividing effect. And those conversations are ongoing and they're growing.
We have a lot of support from our residents, but it's not given to us. It's because we've worked hard to earn it. We're involved and engaged in our community.
What can we do to make sure everybody feels safe, whatever definition they use? And so really for the last 4 or 5 years, that has been our goal.
We will begin with just a warm-up of 2 officers standing handcuffing.
In 2022, St. Paul police agreed to show us how they train.
Pull the other arm.
With a focus on using less force.
We get those hands behind the back.
Since then, Axel Henry became chief. And the department saw 2 deadly shootings by officers. Both were found to be justified.
When we've had to have conversations around those topics, you can say you have a great relationship, but if you're not able to actually sit down and have that conversation around an actual event or something that has occurred, you really don't ever really test that relationship. It's all in theory. Ours has been tested, and obviously all of us would prefer that we use zero force. But when that's been tested, we actually get to show up, and that's when the authenticity matters, that's when the trust matters, that's when the honesty matters.
You'll have the reality-based training areas.
Maple Grove has a new regional high-tech facility where several agencies train.
Hi, my name's Eric. I'm with the police department.
With a goal of safer interactions with the community. The Police Accountability Act of 2020 addressed when deadly force is authorized, enacted a ban on chokeholds, requires a duty to intervene, plus mental health training.
How do you train someone's mind and their techniques and their muscle memory to now make a split-second decision under these new rules? So we've had to intentionally focus on that so we can make sure our officers are prepared when they go on the streets.
One of the greatest lessons that we learned is probably taking a slower approach to how we do all things. We're more methodical. We're leveraging things like technology more so than ever. One of the biggest things that really needs to continue is training. Training, training, training.
There's also more focus on the well-being of an officer.
Recognizing the trauma, officers, they see a lot, and they go on to the next call and the next call. And so I think every department has recognized that and are, implementing different strategies to help, peer support. We have a dog that wanders our hallway. He's a therapy dog.
Back in Minneapolis.
Front of mind for me, day in, day out, is the reality of the public safety in the city, particularly with the depleted workforce here and the added work that we have to do reform. It's just trying to do everything that we can to respond as urgently as possible to the most serious crimes that are happening in the community, but also ensure that we're doing it in ways and we're showing up in ways that help build trust. And I think, I just think from the feedback we've gotten from the folks who live here, we've been making progress.
Jennifer Mayerle, WCCO Investigates.
Staffing remains an issue with fewer people getting into the policing profession. The chiefs say they are not willing to sacrifice standards to fill positions, but things are getting better. Minneapolis Police reports their next cadet class will be the largest since the 90s. To watch our WCCO original State of Policing, head to WCCO's YouTube page.